The day Jennifer Lopez arrived on The View, the buzz was undeniable. Promoting her upcoming tour and a deeply personal documentary about her rise from the Bronx to global superstardom, JLo was expected to bring her usual mix of glamour, grit, and candor. The audience was electric, waiting to hear stories of resilience, success, and inspiration. But no one, not the producers, not the panelists, and certainly not Jennifer herself, anticipated the segment would devolve into one of the most controversial on-air moments in the show's history. What began as a lively chat about fame and the changing face of pop culture quickly unraveled into a tense and highly emotional exchange between Jennifer and longtime co-host Joy Behar. The clash was sharp, unscripted, and ultimately so uncomfortable that Lopez was asked to leave the set mid-segment. The fallout was instant, and by the end of the day, clips from the confrontation were circling the internet like wildfire. Things started off warmly enough. Joy complimented Jennifer's latest project, and Lopez responded graciously, thanking the hosts for their support over the years. But the tone shifted dramatically when Joy pivoted the conversation toward Lopez's romantic history, specifically her marriage to Ben Affleck. With a smirk, Joy asked, "So how long until the next album inspired by another breakup?" The studio audience let out a surprised laugh, but Jennifer didn't. Her smile faltered. "That's not funny, Joy," she said, her voice even. "Hey, relationships are real. They're not punchlines." Joy, undeterred, responded, "Well, when you put everything out there, you can't be surprised people have opinions." The audience's laughter turned into uneasy murmurs. Jennifer straightened her posture. "There's a difference between opinion and disrespect," she replied sharply. That moment, brief loaded, marked the beginning of what would spiral into a direct, deeply personal confrontation that neither woman seemed prepared for. Rather. Then Diascue, Joy pushed forward, challenging Jennifer on her public image. "You say you're about empowerment? But some people think your brand is just polished perfection. No room for flaws, no authenticity." Jennifer blinked, clearly taken aback. "I've never pretended to be perfect," she said. "I've shared my struggles, my self-doubt, my failed relationships, my career ups and downs. But what's inauthentic about surviving and thriving?" Joy folded her arms. "It's just hard to relate sometimes, Jen. It always looks so curated." That struck a nerve. Jennifer leaned forward. "I didn't grow up with privilege. I worked my way from the bottom, fly girl, backup dancer. No connections. Everything I have, I earned." Joy interrupted. "Nobody's denying your hustle, but you've built a billion-dollar image. That doesn't happen by accident." Jennifer's voice rose slightly. "Exactly. I built it. I didn't inherit it. Now you're blaming me for doing it well?" The tension was thick now, visible on both women's faces. The conversation, now emotionally charged, moved into the topic of celebrity responsibility. Joy remarked, "Don't you think, with the kind of influence you have, you should speak out more about politics, social issues? Sometimes silence can look like complicity." Jennifer's frustration became palpable. "I've spoken out when it matters, when I feel it's necessary. But I'm also an artist. I'm not a politician. I choose to uplift, not divide." Joy didn't let up. "But in times like these, staying neutral is a privilege. You have fans who look up to you. Don't they deserve to know where you stand?" Jennifer stood her ground. "I'm Latina. I've lived the struggle. I've been underestimated. But I don't have to scream my values from a rooftop to prove I care. I show it through action, not slogans." The audience clapped, but the exchange was far from over. Joy replied coolly, "Sometimes silence speaks louder than action." Jennifer shook her head, her voice lower now. "And sometimes judgment disguises itself as concern." At this point, the air in the studio was nearly unbearable. Sarah N. and Sunny Hostin both attempted to shift the topic toward Lopez's philanthropy and her mentorship work, but Joy seemed determined. "Let's talk about your documentary," she said. "Some critics say it's just a long ad for your brand, not an honest look at your life." Jennifer stared at her for a beat too long before responding. "I made that film to inspire people, to show them that dreams are possible, that pain doesn't have to define you. If you saw branding, maybe that says more about how you see women. Who succeed? Joy leaned back, unfazed. Or maybe it says, we're tired of perfect packaging. Real life is messy, and people want honesty, not highlight reels. That was the breaking point. Jennifer's voice rose. You don't get to decide how I tell my story. You don't get to minimize my life just because it doesn't fit your version of struggle. Joy didn't respond, but her expression said, it all unmoved and unapologetic. Asterisk, the clash had clearly gone too far. Whoopi Goldberg, sensing things were spiraling, stepped in to cut to commercial. But before the cameras rolled away, Jennifer stood up. I didn't come here for this, she said. I came to talk about art, not to defend my existence. She reached for her mic, unhooked it slowly, and handed it to the producer standing nearby. This isn't a conversation anymore. It's an attack, she said plainly. Joy muttered, something inaudible under her breath, and Jennifer turned to her. You can criticize me all you want, Joy, but don't confuse criticism with cruelty. The audience was silent, stunned. Whoopi tried to offer a closing remark, but Lopez had already started walking off stage. The producers quickly cut to a commercial break, but the moment had been captured raw, emotional, and undeniably explosive. By the time the show returned, Jennifer was gone, and the hosts looked visibly shaken. The internet did what it does. Best within minutes, clips of Jennifer's walk-off were everywhere. Hashtag JLo storms off, hashtag The View disaster, and hashtag JoyVsJennifer began trending globally. Opinions were split. Some viewers praised Lopez for standing up for herself, calling the interview an unfair ambush. Others argued that Joy was doing what The View is, known for pressing guests on issues beyond their comfort zones. Entertainment outlets ran headlines like Jennifer Lopez silenced no more and Joy Behar pushes too far. Analysts debated whether Joy had crossed a line or whether Jennifer had simply expected a publicity piece. Not a real conversation. It's the one thing everyone agreed on. The moment was unforgettable, and it would be dissected for weeks. The broader conversation quickly moved into territory far beyond celebrity drama touching on race, gender, media bias, and the impossible standards placed on successful women of color. Asterisk ABC. Clearly alarmed by the backlash, released a short statement hours later. Today's episode featured a passionate discussion with Jennifer Lopez. We thank her for joining us and regret that the segment did not go as planned. Jennifer's team offered a more direct response. Jennifer Lopez has always stood for empowerment, resilience, and truth. While she respects open dialogue, she will never tolerate disrespect disguised as journalism. Meanwhile, Joy made no public statement that day. On the next day's episode of The View, she briefly addressed the incident. We had a passionate moment yesterday. That's what this table is for. We don't all have to agree, but we should always respect each other. It was a carefully worded non-apology that satisfied some, but enraged others. Commentators argued over whether her line of questioning was valid or veered into antagonism. For many, it raised an uncomfortable question. Are women in power given room to be complex, or are they still expected to smile through it all? Asterisk, in the days that followed, celebrities quietly took sides. Viola Davis tweeted, "Grace is not weakness. Speaking your truth isn't arrogance." Shakira posted a cryptic quote about women supporting women. Even Ben Affleck was asked about it by paparazzi, to which he reportedly replied, "She's stronger than any room she walks into." Jennifer remained silent publicly, but posted an Instagram photo days later, black and white, captioned only enough. The post received millions of likes and a flood of support in the comments. The message was clear. She had moved on, but not forgotten. Meanwhile, The View experienced a temporary boost in ratings, but internally, sources said the production team was divided over how the interview was handled. Some believed Joy had gone too far. Others defended her, saying the show was meant to push boundaries. Either way, the moment had become more than a disagreement. It had become a cultural flashpoint. Asterisk, Jennifer Lopez being kicked off The View wasn't just a headline. It was a defining moment in the ongoing struggle for women, especially women of color, to own their narrative without being dissected for it. It reminded the world that success doesn't grant immunity from judgment, and confidence in one's identity still makes people uncomfortable. Joy Behar may have thought she was asking tough questions, but in doing so, she exposed a harsh truth. The world still struggles to allow women like Jennifer to be powerful without tearing them down. The clash didn't just spark debate, forced a reckoning, and as Jennifer walked off that stage, she didn't walk away defeated. She walked away with her story intact, her dignity untouched, and her legacy a little bolder than it was the day before, because sometimes walking away isn't quitting, it's refusing to be controlled.